interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
I'm back.
Anywhere you meet me, guaranteed to go down.
I like the way you ride with that booty on me.
It's going down.
Go down while you looking lonely.
It's going down.
Come around and it's all on me.
Anywhere you meet me, guaranteed to go down.
So, new year, new intro. Let's get it. I'm not so sure if I'm going to promise to be a brand new me this year, but my reactions are going to be a lot differently. I'm not going to be doing the most. I'm not going to be doing above and beyond, and I'm going to stay in my lane. That is how 2026 is going to be from here out. Either roll with me or I'm going to roll over you or around you. Whichever is easier.
Okay, she headed to the dance floor and she slowly started popping it. Song like my wrist beats, everybody got to watching it. Girl, you got that secret treasure, I'm gon' put a lock on it. Don't care what they say, I was stupid to be not on it.
Watch me flex. So you getting ready to be big mad at me. I need to be real with y'all for a second. There's a specific subset of people out there. There are professional martyrs, lifelong haters, who actually thrive on finding something to be miserable about. You know the type. The ones that treat their own self-sacrifice like a competitive sport. They look at your personal growth as a personal insult. If you're waiting for these people's permission to level up, you're going to be waiting in a house that's falling down. They were going to find a reason to be salty regardless of what you did. So you might as well give them a high definition luxury tile reason to stay bothered. I'm officially exiting the era of playing small just to keep the peace with people who don't even have peace within themselves. I'm done apologizing for the upgrades, whether it's the way I'm moving, the way I'm building, or the literal stone and glass I'm putting into my own property. It's all designed to reflect the work I've put in. If they're going to be annoyed by the vision, they're about to be absolutely big mad at the execution. The thing about professional martyrs is they hate it when you stop suffering with them. When you enclose your porch or you finish the pool deck, you aren't just renovating your house, you're building a literal boundary. Bad energy outside, good energy only inside. You're creating a space that's too beautiful for their negativity to survive in. So they're just going to talk. They're going to need to let them roll their eyes until they get stuck. Let them be exhausted by my own success. While they're busy being mad at the end of these upgrades, I'll be sitting poolside in the quiet, enjoying the view they said I shouldn't have. And that I legitimately have the ability to do other things. And that's why people or then they're going to basically get mad at when you do upgrade, and then the invitations stop coming. I'm not going to offer an invitation to someone that has already told me I don't know how to enjoy. The road back to balance after medication isn't a straight line. If you're gaining weight or your gut is acting up, don't panic, just pivot. Focus on enzymes, hydration, and the power of a high-speed blend. Take care of your gut, and it will take care of you. So this is how I'm starting out the episode, just the same way I'm going to end it. And what I'm going to say in this next particular segment, I'm actually feeling right now. This is my experience, my own personal experience with GLPs, my getting over the bubble guts pre and post, and then joining a Ninja Blast revolution. So this is my journey is beyond the weight loss, the miracle stories, but I don't think people talk enough about that maintenance phase, or for many like myself, that after phase. I started out with the big back, I ended up with the bigger back, and now I'm trying to come back with the balance. People don't really talk or won't admit to when you stop the shots, what happens when your gut feels like it's going through a war zone, and most importantly, how do we use whole foods to fix the damage? So let's start from there. The elephant in the room is not me. It's the weight gain after GLPs. And it's a reality for many people. When that food noise returns and the metabolic brake is released, the scale can creep back up. Often, it's not just about the calories, it's about the digestive system that has been reset in a way that makes it feel broken. Most people are, and I found out when I'm not alone, there's a digestive seesawing going on. 1 week, you're blocked up. The next week, you have slow gastric emptying, and then you have a whole bunch of reflux. Then you'll have explosive diarrhea where your body tries to clear the backlog. Speaking of that reflux, it's just when the food sits in the stomach longer, because GLPs slow down everything. Slows down esophageal motility, where food will get stuck and you'll spend hours trying to clear it until you actually have to bear down to get the body to force the food bolus down. Because if you're throwing up or have constipated, you can actually develop hiatal hernias. It's not the GLPs per se, it's the reaction, the overreaction of your body that you can actually form one. It's just that intense pressure, the straining, the vomiting, if you have it, that can exacerbate or lead to the development of one. That lump in your chest or the constant burning is your body waving a red flag that it's time that something needs to give. So how can you pivot? Now, I am on a reset smoothie. Yes, I saw it on social media, but in my anti-inflammatory drive, as well as unbigging my back, raw beets, carrots, and apples are going to be my next stage of this. I start out with lemons, hot lemon water, and then I move on to the rosemary, ginger to clean out my mind. But in addition of raw beets, actually, it allows the bowel to be thinned out, and it also leads to a liver detox. Let's break this down. If you've been on a GLP-1, not only is your gut slowing down, but also your gallbladder has become lazy. When you eat less and digestion slowed down, bile can sit in the gallbladder, becoming thick and sludgy. This is why some people end up with gallbladder issues after rapid weight loss. Beets contain betaine. Think of it as a biological detergent. It stimulates the flow of bile, making it thinner and more fluid. Why does this matter? Because the thin, free-flowing bile is what breaks down fats and keeps your hormones balanced. If your bile is sludgy, you feel bloated and sludgy. Beets literally get the juices flowing again. And finally, that nitrate factor, beets are loaded with natural nitrates. Don't confuse those with the synthetic nitrates in hot dogs. These are the good ones. When you drink a beet smoothie, your body converts those nitrates into nitric acid, which is a nitric oxide, which is a vasodilator. It tells the smooth muscles in your blood vessels to relax and open up. The result is your blood pressure can see a significant drop, often within hours of consumption. If you're trying to get back into the workout routine to combat that post-GLP weight gain, nitric acid actually means more oxygen is going to reach your muscles and you'll feel less winded and more capable. But you got to be careful for two things. One, after you've increased or started your beet intake, you can actually pee out that red dye. It's not blood. It's actually just the dye, your body processing the dye. But also, because beets are high in oxalates, you need to check with your doctor truly before going full beet. Because if you're prone to kidney stones, this will actually make you develop one more aptly. But the mixture of it is all about balance, because the carrots and the watermelon are going to be that perfect balance to change your pH to allow you to flush out those oxalates and not to have an issue. Carrots have the fiber to sweep your intestines and also give you prebiotics. Pectin in apples is, again, a prebiotic to feed the good bacteria and that the GLPs might have neglected. The reflux of it all is if you swap apples for watermelon or pineapple. Watermelon is incredibly hydrating and alkaline, which soothes the esophagus. Pineapples has bromelain, a natural enzyme that actually helps break down proteins, doing some of the heavy lifting your stomach is currently struggling with. Now, the Ninja Blast Mix is the whole game changer for this whole food extraction. When we aren't just juicing, we're blending the whole thing. The whole lemon, red kiwi, and cucumbers into a smoothie. This is beyond juicing. Because in a whole lemon, the pith and the zest contain limonene, which is an incredible moving stale digestion. The red kiwi is a component that these higher in antioxidants than the green ones and are legendary for fixing constipation naturally. And in cucumber is a cool drink of water for an inflamed gut. The Blast Max handles this with ease. You just got to be careful that you don't really overdo it, because if it heats up, it's going to shut itself off. It's the ultimate tool for someone trying to heal a hiatal hernia or gastric reflux, because it does the chewing for you, making the nutrients bioavailable without stressing out your stomach. And again, the road back is not necessarily straight. Weight gain, your gut acting up may cause some people to panic, but I'm here to say don't panic. Just focus on the enzymes that I mentioned that are in pineapple, and that'll actually sweeten up the taste and knock out that dirt aftertaste of beets. The hydration from the cucumbers and the high-speed blender of your Ninja. Just take care of your gut, and it will take care of you. And I'll see you in the next segment. And thank you for listening.
Slow down the morning, speed up the soul. A world of flavor delivered whole. Roasters, your perfect cup, just a click away. Online, on time, oh so bold. Slow down the morning, speed up the soul. A world of flavor delivered whole. FB Roasters, your perfect cup, just a click away. A world of flavor delivered whole. FB Roasters, your perfect cup, just a click away. FB Roasters, your perfect cup, just a click away. FB Roasters, your perfect cup, just a click away.
There's something about the way the light hits the Adriatic Sea in early May. It isn't the harsh, white-hot sun of August that sends everyone scurrying for shade. It's a soft, golden glow that turns the limestone cliffs of the Dalmatian coast into something out of a dream. If you've been waiting for a sign to finally take that luxury leap, this is it. I've got some news that feels almost too good to share, but DAI Travel, we believe in making extraordinary accessible. Our friend Stan, actually it's Brian, has clued us in on a massive 50% inventory deal for a specific high-end sailing route. We're talking about the luxury catamaran journey from Split, Croatia to Kotor in the Montenegro. That is one of the itineraries that is departing May 8th, which is right like next week. This isn't just a vacation, it's another day, another bay lifestyle at a price that honestly would make your heart skip a beat. I'm talking about $13,000 per person drop down to $64.97.50. That is 50% off of a standard luxury inventory. And if you didn't think that was great, there's also, let's talk about the travel or transfer credits and other arrangements if you're already in Europe. I would actually lock all of this in because with the nonsense that's going on in Iran now, this is going to be a godsend because the inventory as far as jet fuel is becoming a little bit sketchy in some parts of Europe. So Split and Kotor, there's a journey of the senses. We're talking about foodie peaks down in Cabos Bay. We're talking about wine tasting at Grigi Vineyard. We're just talking about experiencing centuries-old luxury at a nice discounted price. Well, these spaces are not going to last long. I would suggest you get in on what is actually going on. Let's talk about how you basically secure this cabin at this 50% rate. Once they're gone, they're gone. If you're basically, hit me up, Felicia.Baxter at Fora.travel to reach out to me directly, or you can navigate over to my Dale's Angels Inc. blog to check out the posting for this 50% off That's the northern exposure, but I also, with my team, have done discussions about the southern exposure, which I think is just as beautiful, with some very beautiful, as it were, visuals to just basically demonstrate what actually is going on in the Adriatic in the upcoming weeks. And, granted, if I had the time off and I wasn't basically financing this next travel rich, driving rich chapter of my life, I would have actually booked it, and then y'all would have not actually been able to access this. But I digress. You navigate over to get the details of the northern as well as the southern journey through Montenegro and Dubrovnik. You could either drop a message in directly in the post on the blog, or you could just, as I stated, email me directly to set up a time where we can actually discuss the booking through For Travel. But navigate over, share, like, comment, and do it often. And I hope that I will see you posting and tagging me when you actually do make it over to the Mediterranean. So one of the things I also did at the beginning of the year, looking for other streams of income, because our jolly old felon in charge has set the world market on edge. And I always feel that you always should have a plan B and also even a plan C in some respects. So not only did I learn about Shopify in an online coffee shop, I wanted to reinvigorate my bookshop as well as get a team to do it. And my association with Marbleism started out as an experiment. I have access to a sales associate, legal assistant, receptionist, social media manager, blog writer, and executive assistant. Even though sometimes they go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, eager beaver, I've never been this in tune to building my brand and getting the word out there, utilizing the tools modestly at my disposal to increase the exposure of my brand. FB Roasters, yes, I'm still the biggest client, but that has been a godsend in a way that I can also develop apparel and other mugs and stuff like that. So it's been really kind of cool. I've gotten a subscription service. People are learning about me through several different channels. It's actually been really cool. And with all of this, I've decided to take the month of August, which is the hottest month of the year, but I'm deciding, because every year that I get to celebrate my birthday is a blessing. And this year I'm starting off, even though I've changed it multiple times, also with For Travel, which is my next endeavor. I've actually booked a weeks-long stay at La Berger. I'm still going to drive out. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to upgrade my RV for a little bit more space to have more services like a walk-in bathtub and a washer and dryer. I think I need a little bit more space to be able to accommodate that. It would just be more comfortable for me. but also with it, it brings increased diesel consumption. It's going to take muscle to be able to handle it on the open road, but I'm okay with that. Right now, my current RV is only about 24 feet, but I could tolerate up to another 30 or so to get those two additional items. And that's, I think, is exciting. There is a Star Trek celebration of the original show 60 that they're actually having in Las Vegas. I remember going to Vegas for the first time years ago and enjoying the Star Trek exhibition right before they actually shut it down in the old Las Vegas Hilton. This is going to be great. There's going to be all kind of cosplay. There's going to be daily costume awards. There's a whole gala. It's just going to be really dope. So next week, we're going to be looking at all of those things in addition to cosplay and coffee. I have relaunched this month's books and brew subscription to include Murderbot, the first volume. I actually am rewatching this particular show on Apple that basically is the premise for what's going to probably be one of the most used costumes as far as Comic-Con in San Diego this year. But I think that with my Bali Blue and the Jasmine Tea alternative, it's a great marriage of the subscription. So navigate over to FB Roasters under apparel, and you too can actually subscribe to either one. The first month, not only will you get the new updated book, but you'll also get your own journal to write your thoughts in. We're also going to be talking about the launch of the Adriatic, the Northern Traverse, or if you decide to do the Southern, because that is still 50% off offer, plus the vouchers for transfer in Europe. And something alternative if you're already overseas near the Mediterranean or in Europe, which is still a great buy. Navigate for my DAI travel services page for more details, as well as for more inquiries. Just email me at felicia.travel at fora.travel, and just request further information on the Adriatic sale, because the first is coming up this Friday. We'll still be posting intermittently about it because the second embarkment is later on this month, but also just all next week. A lot of the posts on my blog as well as social media is going to be talking about the cosplay, STL 60, as well as the final Bon Voyage to Split that's coming up this coming Friday. So if you want further information, just email me directly or just leave a message in the comments. And as always, thank you for listening. Butterfly in the sky, I can go twice as high. So take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow. I can go anywhere. So take a look. It's in a book. A tinfoil rainbow. A tinfoil rainbow. A tinfoil rainbow. Do y'all know even what a Murderbot is? I did not find out about this until actual AI told me about the series when I was doing some work about Comic-Con and what was probably going to be the new plot twist or what everybody beyond Star Trek were going to probably be dressing up for this year. This also is one of Apple original series where Paul Weiss and Chris Weiss and the Emmy winner Alexander Skarsgård, who I think is Murderbot. This is based on the first two novella of Martha Wells' Murderbot series. So this is the first book actually is, or the compilation or volume 1, which is All Systems Red and Artificial Condition. It follows the first season. I have not heard anything yet about them being renewed for a second season because there are multiple books in this. There is the first volume, and then there's the second volume, which is Rogue Protocol and Exit Strategy. And then there is volume 3, which is Fugitive, Telemetry, and System Collapse. But just the book 1 series. When you ask AI to basically summarize the book, it basically does it from the perspective of Murderbot. So Gemini was doing a bit much. But the overall summary, I think, is very creative. So I'm going to share it with you now. It says that they are on Pangolin, a distant planet, conducting a standard surface survey led by the Dr. Mensa. The conflict is everything went sideways when giant hostile fauna tried to eat one of the signs. Then they find out that the mission maps have been sabotaged. There was another survey group, Deltfall, that was slaughtered by their own sec units. And they were concerned they were going to be next. I'm going to give like a breakdown or a deeper dive into each one of the characters because Murderbot, this security unit, is basically the governing body of the free commerce, which outfits these particular missions. Requires that the security units, which go out and they have a governing unit. Well, evidently this sec unit had kind of hacked its own governing unit. And basically all he wants to do is watch his shows. All he wants to do is watch the Sacred Moon or Harvest Moon or whatever it is. But he's annoyed when the humans want to interact with him. All he wants to do is sit in a corner and watch their shows. He thinks humans are stupid, can't understand why they want to interact with him and meet eye contact. Dr. Mensa is a woman of South Asian descent. She has dark brown skin and she wears her hair functional. The Dr. Mensa that's on film is she has a British accent, and she has dreads. Dope. I'm with it. In the corporate world of the corporation rim, ethnicity isn't a primary source of conflict. It's class and corporate ownership. But her appearance is constant grounding element in any of the visuals of this beautifully produced series. She doesn't look like the typical aggressive corporate overlord, but she does like to read any contract that she signs. The Murderbot and Mensa's relationship is complicated. It fluctuates between high stress and tactical coordination and a deep internal awkwardness. This is the Murderbot, y'all. Mensa is the first human that actually treats the Murderbot as a person rather than just a piece of equipment. She tries to look him in the eye, which he hates. She asks for the opinion, which the Murderbot thinks is confusing. She eventually, towards in the book as well as in the series, buys his contract to protect him from being scrapped, which makes her the Murderbot's owner in legal terms, but she says she treats it like guardianship. And that ownership was what she basically was against in the beginning, because she says it reminded her too much of enslavement. But they were like, you tripping, you ain't going, we don't care what you think, you got to take 'em. Or you ain't going, we're not going to outfit you. He has a feed, which is their no-look bond, where she basically, the most meaningful talk, which is no contact, happens through the wireless feed. It's just cleaner, no facial expressions to decipher. The Murderbot risks permanent shutdown to save her from the Grey Chris mercenaries. Not because Murderbot was programmed to, but because she's the only human who makes the anxiety dot execute spike for all the right reasons. From the POV of Mensa is very much visible through her actions. She sees a sentient being trapped in a killing machine's body, and she feels guilty about the way the Murderbots are treated and the gratitude she expresses for their intervention. She said at one point, "You're a person," which is paraphrased, but the Murderbot remembers when the Murderbot remembers this phrase, he paraphrased it and truncated it, because he says his processors start to overheat with sentimentality. Dr. Mensa is calm, dark-skinned, brilliant, and way too kind for her own good. The SEC unit is the master of tactical combat and an expert at hiding behind my opaque faceplate so I don't have to talk to people. Now, you can't go back to watching the rise and fall of Sanctuary Moon right now. I'm going to continue to at you because I want to basically take a deeper dive into the rest of the cast. This is the core team of the Preservation Survey Allowance. Arata and Oversay are a couple. Their constant concern for the Murderbot's well-being is draining to the Murderbot. Arata is a senior scientist with a gentle disposition. She's the first one to realize that the Murderbot is actually different after Murderbot saved her from the hostile fauna. Oversay is a specialist who is sharp and protective of Arata and has spent a lot of time being suspicious of Murderbot, which the Murderbot respects. And it's a logical response to a SEC unit that actually hacked its own brain. If Mensa is the heart of the group, Pen Lee is the teeth. That's the legal and structural specialist. Pen Lee seems to be hooked up with the Rada in the series, but they somehow work it out. She's sharp-tongued and aggressive, and when the corporate legal threats started flying, she was ready to bite back. She was also instrumental in helping Mensa figure out how to legally keep me from being reset and sold for parts. Gurathan is a problem human. He's augmented. He has visible implants, which usually makes it easier for me to interface with someone, but he uses it to be suspicious. He's one that figured out that Murderbot had hacked his governor unit or governor module. And he didn't trust me for the vast majority of the tale, and is actually the most sensible human behavior in the entire story. He reached out. They finally reached an impasse. They said, I won't kill you if you don't report me, kind of thing. Roddy is a social scientist who doesn't understand the concept of personal space or not talk to Murderbot. Just friendly, and he keeps trying to engage him in conversation and treat him like a colleague. The vibe is he's the kind of person who thinks a polite hello can fix a tactical disadvantage, and it can. Then there's Valescu and Barwada. Barwada is the first victim. A giant creature tries to eat her in the first chapter, and then the Murderbot had to jump into the pit to save her, which is how the Murderbot's impressive skills that he was faster and more efficient than any stock sec unit they first took notice. And then Valescu, who was with Barwada at that attack, they're decent enough, but they spent most of the book recovering from trauma while the sec unit does all the heavy lifting. These humans are what they call preservationists. Unlike the corporate humans who treat sec units like sentient forklifts, the actual preservationists felt bad about the sec unit's existence. The preservationists spent a whole lot of time having feelings about the sec unit's safety, trying to give him clothes, which he thought was gross, offering him a seat at the table during meetings. It was just so stressful for him. Imagine trying to do your job while everyone around you is trying to be your friend. It's like a nightmare to a sec unit. Now, this is my discussion about Murderbot. All active communication ports are off, rerouting power to the entertainment suite, and initiating a high-priority download of The Rise and Fall of Sanctuary Moon Season 4. I'll probably just watch another episode or two of Antiques Roadshow UK before I go and record my last unit. Sec unit out.
Let's calibrate the frequency on this one. The swamp is crowded, full of underfed, frozen-faced predators, snapping at marbles, desperate to be the chosen editors. They call it a lifestyle, but the game is just a rigged simulation. A no-win test designed to force a toxic confrontation. But the operator arrived with a full-blown session. No damsel in this room, no victim waiting for a cape. Just a mogul in the shadows, measuring the shape. Let's calibrate the frequency on this one.
I am one of millions that I think are watching or have watched this last season 15 of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And I say this with a dramatic eye roll. I have never been so bored with a series as I've been bored this past season. And this reunion is just as boring as the season was. Except for a couple of Rays. Or a Ray. Bose St. John. Bose rocketed on the scene last season. And she has become a Garcelle replacement, but she's nothing like Garcelle, except Garcelle has her storied acting career. Now she's moving into directing and production, while Bose comes from a storied corporate career. What is tripping people out about Boz is because she's really is unapologetically herself. She can't stand mediocrity. She's going to treat you like an asset until you stop performing. So, Dorit, and all of your delusion, you getting ready to be kicked to the curb before you think you're doing the kicking. Bye, Kyle, in the words of Vanderpump's husband to Kyle Richards. You're so fake. Alicia Edwards, because that's when I realized who Kyle actually was when I started watching this show. And the thing that has the social media on fire is just how she dared to speak up to the host of a reunion, one of the executive producers of the show itself, Andy Cohen, and his shady self. She basically stepped to him and answered his question like only a true veteran VP would. And I saw a conversation between equals and not between a boss and the talent. And I think that's where Andy and even the DJ Richie Sky and the Carlos King got it twisted. Bo St. John isn't really talent necessary because she doesn't fit the usual housewife mold. She basically had a storied career even before Housewives. Housewives didn't make her. She is making Housewives. And they better recognize. So when she's trying to explain her as a tall, statuesque black woman in a capitalist, paternalistic white man's world and how she thrived in all of her positions, when you have a white man screwing up his face and acting like he's confused, he's not taking into consideration and negating her experience. Not just because maybe that has not been your experience with other white people that are in that corporate road, but when you represent less than 1% and all three of y'all know that, this is the chief chief marketing officer's role. You basically are just trying to shade her because this is her experience, and it's not just her experience. She is basically trying to articulate the travail and the difficulty in a black woman trying to thrive in that role. So when she stepped to him and had told him to come to the front of the class, I basically felt that because she was, again, speaking like a VP and addressing another VP's shade. And I had found that sometimes people are trying to gear up to be shady and online, trying to fit somebody or diminish somebody. But this person, who I was able to just now follow, has been just as dramatic as Bo's response. This was a couple of days ago. And then another social media follower basically gathered all the girls on her behalf. And I am so here for it. I am still trying to get this all together because I want to read this in its entirety. And it's in response, and I couldn't have done it better myself, even with AI, as a response to Carlos King talking to Lily White, Alexis Bellino, and DJ Richie Sky just talking to his own damn self. I basically wanted to put this out there because it was so eloquent, and I'm here for it. And they basically go back and hear props, and it's more like, yes, girl, we see you. This is from Enchopian or Nachapa in Nawankama. She basically says, I am an avid Real Housewives watcher. I also happen to have some expertise in executive assessment and leadership development. These two things have never had a reason to meet until now. I just watched the most recent episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Grab a seat. We need to talk about Boz. Before Boz was at Apple, before Uber, before Netflix, where she put together the brand to have Beyonce on the Super Bowl. I just digress. She was at PepsiCo for nearly a decade. And if you work in talent, you already know what I'm about to say. If you see me over the next few months, just know loaded teas and coffee, teas and water combos are my new favorite thing. I am knee deep in water talk and I have no plans to come up for air. What is this? Let me go back. PepsiCo is a leadership factory. In leadership circles, we do not say someone worked at Pepsi. We say they came out of PepsiCo because that company builds executive and then releases them into the world. Fortune found that PepsiCo has produced 16 Fortune 500 CEOs. The CEOs of Target, McDonald's, Delta, and Starbucks all came out of there, as well as many more. PepsiCo has one of the most intentional leadership development models in corporate America. They identify their highest potential people early, and then they put them through it. Their whole model is grounded in industrial organization psychology. You get identified early, you get stretched beyond your comfort zone, and you get moved across functions and geographies. You get evaluated under real pressure in real time. So here is what a decade of PepsiCo actually means for Boz. It means the market did not guess on her. It means she has already been assessed, tested, and validated before she ever walked into Apple or Uber. Those companies did not take a chance on her. They responded to a signal that Pepsi put up like the bat signal. That's me, Adam. She did not stumble into those rooms. She was pulled into them repeatedly. And once you have a PepsiCo pedigree, that pulling does not really stop. For the most part, Pepsi alumni are always recruitable. They always have somewhere to go, and keep that in mind. When you move through the world knowing you have options, you carry yourself differently. You are not making decisions from fear or scarcity. You are making them from clarity. Now let's talk about tenure, because this is where people get it wrong. The CMO role has one of the shortest average tenures in the C-suite. Today, the average is about 4 years. For a long time, it was closer to 25 months. Not because CMOs are not talented, but because the role is genuinely hard to survive. 1 in 5 Fortune 500 companies changed their marketing leadership in the past 12 months, including restructuring the role altogether. Think Delta, Starbucks, UPS, or Southwest. I've never been a CMO, but I've heard CMO roles are hard to survive. The CMO seat is highly visible, high pressure, and structurally unstable in ways that most people outside of this field do not appreciate. You get hired to build a brand and then measured on revenue, hired for growth and second guess on creative. Your whole mandate shifts every time the CEO changes their mind about what matters. And then you add the layer that research has been documenting for decades about being Black in the workplace. Performance evaluation for Black women are not just shaped by outcomes, they are shaped by bias. more scrutiny, higher bar, less margin for error, and the expectation to keep proving yourself like the last 20 years did not happen. Kind of like what's going on now. There's a landmark 2012 study by organizational psychologists Rosette and Livingston called Failure is Not an Option for Black Women. What they found was that Black women leaders face double jeopardy, evaluated more harshly than Black men and white women the moment anything looks like a stumble. When things are going well, everyone is assessed roughly the same. The moment there's any perception of difficulty, the penalty for Black women is disproportionate, and it shows up in retention data too. Research by Santiago, Nakama, and Krenzel found that Black leaders feel they cannot show up as their full selves at work and that it directly affects whether they stay. 42% of Black leaders also report being regularly undermined by direct reports, decisions questioned publicly, authority bypass. Research on chronic workplace stress also tells us that operating under that kind of sustained pressure has a physiologic cause. It increases what researchers call allostatic load, the wear and tear on the body from constantly performing under heightened scrutiny. So now pull it all together. Black women CMO seat, highest profile companies in the world, constant scrutiny, bias baked into how she gets evaluated, and a PepsiCo background that means she will always have somewhere better to go. She leaves her something better or more aligned or just different because she can. Because she knows exactly what she's worth, because she was developed in a system that told her from day one that moving on is not a weakness, it is just the point. And every single time she left, something bigger came calling. I think we have this completely backwards. We look at Boza's career moves and call it instability, but what I see is a woman who was recruited into the rooms most people never get near, did the work, read the room, and chose herself when it was time. Not someone pushed her out when she was ready. Movement at that level is not a red flag, it's leverage. The mid-level leaders who stay in the same seat for 20 years out of comfort or fear are not the ones getting called by Apple and Netflix. Bose kept getting called because the market kept confirming that what PepsiCo already knew. And the data backs it up. Most CMOs who leave land equal or bigger roles. A meaningful percentage go on to become CEOs. The exits are not the problem. The exits are the evidence. Bo's career is not a cautionary tale about short tenures. It's a story about a woman who was built for the top, validated at every step, and had the self-awareness and the courage to keep choosing better. Her tenure is not a red flag. It is a receipt. You can nest two snaps with a twist. Girl, you better recognize. That's why I'm actually going to screenshot this and also post this to my social media because it's beautiful and it's so well written. I love everything about it. And y'all, people just got to stop saying what is expected to say, why not to piss off Massa. I just don't care. You're trying to put her into a mold that doesn't make sense. You may want to know that Bose may be what Beverly Hills is missing. The days of housewives being dependent on housewives or a husband really doesn't make a whole bunch of sense in the corporate sense of things. And when you really come up against a boss, game recognizes game. And she spoke from the place that she's most comfortable with. I don't ever see Bose St. John kowtowing to anyone, to a man, to Andy Cohen, to anyone. And maybe that's why you will probably won't see her in the chair, or at this point, because she don't need to be in the chairs of the Richie Skies or the Carlos King, because in all honesty, at her level, she doesn't really have to work with the talent. I'm just saying, that may seem cruel, but the way they're trying to put her into a box is even more cruel. And what are they so concerned about? Their concern stems from a narrative that Boza's success was overnight or was solely based on her badass branding. They argue that focusing only on her short, high-profile CMO stints ignores that boot camp that I spoke about. Critics feel that by allowing the show or Andy to frame her career as a series of quick jumps, it basically diminishes the decade of rigorous corporate dues paying that made her a viable executive at Apple and Uber in the first place. The most striking part of Boza's presence is a refusal to adopt that subservient talent role that typically occupies the Bravo universe. There's a power dynamic where housewives like Bubba Lip, Alexis Bellino, or even veterans like Kyle, they treat Andy as their employer or a high-status judge. They seek his approval and often shrink when he grills them. The difference is she treats him like the industry peer that technically he really is. She's just a member on the show, child. She has been a global CMO. She's likely sat in the same boardrooms negotiating multi-million-dollar deals with executives like Andy's level or higher. When Carlos, who I love you, notes this glitch in the matrix, and she responds to Andy with poise and directness of one executive talking to another, she's just not playing the game. And this makes her unproducible because she cannot be manipulated into the typical crying on the couch trope. Alexis represents a traditional housewife, emotional, reactive, seeking validation, and characterized by a lack of professional autonomy outside the show. Boz is unapologetically black, high-powered, and intellectually intimidating. When critics like Richie Scott and Carlos King worry that Bravo's editing or Andy's line of questioning attempts to harden her or make her seem difficult simply because she uses her corporate vocabulary and boundary setting to navigate conflict rather than screaming and throwing wine. I'm not so sure how protective of her legacy they are, but their fear is actually valid. The housewife lens is just too small for a woman who spent a decade at the top of PepsiCo. And they are wary of the show trying to hustle a woman who has already won the game. Why are they so alarmed and they say you shouldn't have been picking on that little white girl? Because Amanda's business is janky. I'm sorry, because I don't get it either. Manifestation my ass. I don't know. Their concern is, and most people's concern, is rooted in brand protection or strategic gameplay. Because Boz, hardcore, paid her dues, doesn't get the fluff and the cult of it all. Why should she be cordial? Critics have said, Boz is a global icon with a resume that includes the Apple, Uber, and Netflix. When she's seen as constantly picking on Amanda, who is a niche digital entrepreneur whose business model, manifesting money by taking other people's money, those are Boz's words, is widely questioned. She Bo's wrist, looking like a bullying someone beneath her professional station. There is a concern that Bravo's editors will use Bozoma's sharp executive-style takedowns to paint her as the season's villain or a mean girl. If she stays in this prosecutor mode, the audience might stop seeing her as a powerhouse and then start making her unlikable. Amanda's monotone and robotic effect, which is eerie, actually works in her favor because she doesn't get rattled. She doesn't raise her voice. Bo's passion can come across as angry, and this tired TV trope of high-level black executive, it just paints her as an angry black woman, which I wish she wouldn't care about. But she need to leave that white girl alone. Many suggest Bose should stop engaging with Amanda's cult stories or business claims entirely. By simply ignoring her, Bose keeps her executive energy intact. When she engages, she validates Amanda as a peer or rival, which she is not. While Bose is clocking what she sees as a scam, and people see Amanda as being picked on regardless of the facts. If she continues, she's going to inadvertently help Amanda play that victim card. If she pivots, this is Bose, to a polite indifference by just being cordial but distant, Bose remains the main character of the season without getting her hands dirty in a feud that doesn't benefit her global brand. Carlos and Richie aren't necessarily defending Amanda, although Amanda was recently on Carlos's show. What they may be doing is trying to prevent Bose from dirtying her Birkin in a fight that's structurally designed to make her look bad. And that is a fact right there, y'all. Savage Beauty. Taxi Beauty. Ratchet. What's happening? What's happening? I'm Savage Beauty. Trashy Bougie. Classy. Something. See, what's happening? What's happening? That's a little consideration from probably one of, besides Cardi, besides Lil' Kim, besides many of what we would call the greatest rappers of our era. Megan Thee Stallion, 31 years old. I hope you don't hear it in the background because I'm hopeful that the noise canceling capabilities of my computer are on fleek. But Blue Taluzma is going off, talking about the triggering of it all. Recently, Megan Thee Stallion announced her split from Klay Thompson in 2026, and it reignited a toxic discourse where Stephen Smith is coming out of his uncircumcised looking shell. Cameron and Maze talking disparagingly about her. And they're really not even talking about the breakup. They're engaging in a cultural tug of war over gender privacy and status. These are 10 reasons why, and just a breakdown of how this beautiful, statuesque, brilliant, rich, young black woman is getting all of this vitriol from the public that makes her brand. Here it is, code of silence violation. Stephen A. Smith's primary critique was Megan aired out Klay's business because he cheated. Why wouldn't she? In many old school circles, there's an unwritten rule that black women should protect the image of successful black men who Klay is not. Klay is a goofy white boy from Dallas. Regardless of the man's behavior, by speaking out, she is seen as portraying the collective image. But again, he ain't black. He's a goofy-ass white boy from Dallas. Megan is physically statuesque, wealthy, and unapologetic. She doesn't fit the damsel in distress archetype. Critics often use her strength as a reason to deny her empathy. If she isn't vulnerable in a way they recognize, they feel comfortable being harsh, which is crazy to me. I think her taking a break from Broadway, because dealing with the stresses of being in the show and the vitriol that she knows she's going to get, this is her taking her time out to unplug, decompress, and heal. She did that not too long after the Tory Lane debacle. This bitch shot her in her feet so she couldn't walk away. But it didn't stop her. She healed, got it back together, and then went back on the road to greater success. Cameron specifically pointed to her past relationship with Party, who cheated on her, Moneybag Yo, who I didn't know she dated, but evidently said it was for show, and Tori Craig, to imply she's the common denominator. This is a tactic used to discredit a woman's current grievances by suggesting her choices make her unworthy of a stable relationship, when that's not necessarily so. Some critics, including Paul Pierce, referred to Megan as Clay's work, slang for casual hookup. This is a way of stripping a Grammy-winning mogul of her own status to make her just another girl in an athlete's rotation. Despite Clay calling her Mrs. Thompson and introducing her to the family. Really? Older commentators often come from an era where real G's move in silence. They view Megan's social media forward lifestyle as low caste or attention seeking. Carlos kind of said this, failing to realize that her brand is built on the very radical honesty they find offensive. Although I think she needs to take a break like she did after Tory Lane, and she moved in silence, but that's the only thing I think. If she wants to live out life to celebrate her happiness as well as her L's, let the girl do it, and don't be dicks. I bet I would turn off the comments, bitch, but you can't really, because you need even the negative interactions to be supportive. But then y'all are acting weird about talking about you wish you had been cheated on so she wouldn't have to go through the pain. Girl, stop it. You need help for that too. Megan doesn't need men for money or fame. This shifts the power dynamic. When a woman can walk away from a multimillionaire athlete and remain a multimillionaire herself, it bothers those who believe a man's money should be enough to keep a woman quiet. But it doesn't really, because Amy Luciani had it and she's still, Dwight Howard's still tripping. So what do y'all want? Many black men see themselves in Clay or other celebrities. When Megan calls out a top-tier man, those who look up to him feel personally attacked. They defend the man to protect the fantasy that making it means you no longer have to be accountable to anybody. Online, some black women express venom because they view Megan's public struggles as exhausting or a black reflection on black womanhood. She isn't worthy to be loved because she showed us 4 very bad relationships when y'all have slept with 10 and 40. Now, how about that? They may feel that her hot girl persona invites this drama, choosing to distance themselves from her rather than support her, often as a psychological defense mechanism against the misery of the dating market. The bottom line is, y'all, Megan Thee Stallion represents a shift in power. She's a woman who insists on being treated with the same executive respect as the man she dates. And for those invested in traditional hierarchies, they will always feel like provocation. Now, you sit with that for a minute and figure out why your misogyny is supported in the vile things you say to this young black woman. Y'all ain't protecting this white boy because you think all men need to be treated better. You're trying to uphold this white man because he's an athlete and she dared to date your crush and she got him and then threw him away because he was trash. That's what y'all are mad at, because somehow that reflects badly on you. Boy, bye. Get a life, Mace, and some royalties. Get another hit, Cameron, because you're too old to be acting like an unk. Or a young boy with a crush. You acting like the fat kid in the corner that could never get the hot girl like Meg. That is what y'all are acting like. So all of this venom, all of this vitriol is because y'all know y'all would never measure up with a woman like Meg. And maybe that was Clay's MO. Don't know, because I didn't know about this boy until Meg dropped him. So whatever you say, keep it pushing, keep it polite. You can have your own different opinion, but it doesn't have to be so personal and just so nasty. You can take the girl out of the hood, but you can't take hood music out the girl. But I'm going to end this with a word, just as I started this podcast. Do or do not do. There is no try. And that's a word from Yoda. I hope I have conveyed just how much fun I have had in creating this podcast. I've got my mojo back. Just set your intention or reset your intention. It could be daily if necessary. Mine is peace. No mental dumping over here. If I'm acting like I'm not listening, I'm probably not. I'm not your therapist. I'm not a therapist. Keep the crazy to yourself, child. You do you and leave me be. The sooner you figure that ish out, the happy you will be. So this is what I want to convey in this podcast. And that wraps another of FAFFO has a fro. Join me next time as I throw shade and point out the shade and simply have fun. Y'all have a great new year. What, y'all? What?